Welcome to the Ostrich Running Podcast. This is episode 6. All right, so I think I might be in a cult. Not like matching robes and Kool-Aid, but I built my entire life around this thing called running.
A cult
I
by
wake
yourself.
up, yeah, I wake up thinking about mileage, kind of had some hallucinations in the desert, put a lot of Vaseline on these nipples. I've run through pain that would send most people to the ER. And you know what? I loved it. And here's the thing, I'm not alone. There's a whole community of us. We speak our own language. We worship the long run. We sacrifice sleep, social lives, toenails. But it didn't start this way. It started with something I really couldn't name at the time, a kind of internal chaos. Running felt like the only way I could outrun the noise. And if I'm being honest, maybe I'm still doing that. So in this episode, Jarett the Juice is going to interrogate me. We're going to talk cult behavior, addiction, obsession, and the real question, am I just a guy who likes to run? Or am I still running from something I haven't faced yet? Cue that intro music. Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast. All right, join with me, as always, is my co-host, Jarett the Juice Horton, and I am Nick Mraz. So let's be honest. Ultramarathoners might be in the weirdest club on earth. We have rituals, lingo, suffering, and you don't really leave once you're in. So yeah, it kind of sounds like a cult, but that's not the whole story, because running, for a lot of us, started as something deeper, a way to escape, a way to cope, a way to make sense of things when life got chaotic. So today, Jarett's going to go ahead and interrogate me, and we're going to ask the real question. Am I in a cult? Welcome to the show, co-host Jarett the Juice Horton. Here we are. No guest today. It's just you and I.
Hi, Nick. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, Jarett. Here we are.
Nice to talk to you one-on-one for once. Nobody
Yeah, I
in the
don't.
way, just me
Yeah, I
and
don't
you.
have somebody to distract you from all the
No.
attention on me. Bringing all these cool people on, running all their crazy miles. I like to bring
Yeah.
other people who are a little crazier than I am, right? So I don't seem so
Usually.
wild. Yeah,
They really
but
don't know, but you're the craziest person on
I
earth,
don't
I
know,
think.
man. I don't know.
And we're going to get to that today because of what you've been through over the
The
last
last
week
week.
or so, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, it's a week for me, but some people will say I started back in after 5 days. But, 5 days is a week of doctor's notices.
Yeah. And I have to be honest, a lot of your friends wanted me to get you alone this week to talk about your cult-like behavior.
My
First,
cult-like behavior, huh?
yes, your cult-like behavior. You
Okay.
are in a cult of one, all right? And you're trying to bring others in on your cult of one, your crazy ostrich journey. So, in my natural juice instinct,
Yep.
I need to try and maybe put a stop to this right now.
Okay. All right. So you think I'm in a
Maybe we
cult?
have to find out how bad the problem is.
Well,
So,
okay. So I'm gonna let you
okay.
do your thing.
Okay. All right. So, if you guys don't know Nick, for some reason he likes to run through a canyon or very, very early in the morning.
About 3 in the
Extremely early
morning.
about 3 in the morning. Why?
Yeah.
I haven't been able to figure this out.
I might be
Would you
able to
like to
answer.
tell the people how this story went, or
Well,
you know what? Actually, I'm sorry to cut you off. First, tell us the first time that you did this, and then we'll move on to the latest time that you did this.
Okay.
So,
Well, there's a canyon behind my house, not directly behind, but a few miles back. It's called Black Star Canyon. It is the location
Orange County,
of in
California.
Orange County, California. Yes, it is the location of the start of the first half of a 50-mile ultra marathon, and this is how I first found out about it. It's called That's No Moon, and it's a 50-mile race, and ran that race, and it killed me. It destroyed me. I think I was out for about 6 weeks after that. Remember, I had a lot of Achilles pain, but I knew that I would come back, and I told myself, I need to train on this course. This is right behind me. It's crazy elevation gain, up and down, up and down.
Is
And
it
I told
super
myself,
nice? Like,
it's
why?
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Right.
Like, it's, you get a lot of elevation gain. You get single track running. The views are great. You get to see, once you peak at the top, you get to see the ocean on one side, and then you see the
This
Inland
is during the
Empire.
day, though, right?
This is true.
Because
The only time you
right,
can really see anything. Okay,
right.
so don't let me talk it up as if some beautiful, place that this is why I'm going.
No, you see other things at night, but we're gonna get to that.
A lot of history in this area,
Yes, tell us
old
about the
history.
history, Nick.
In this area, there is a historical site where a tribe of Indians used to live, and pretty much there's relics there where they used to make their corn mash or whatever it was. Black Star Canyon.
Maybe a burial ground.
Yeah, I would say so.
Does that
It's
sound
called the
about right?
Black Star Canyon Indian Village Historic Site. And really what it is, it's they call it a midden, or like a habitation mound of several acres. But there's physical evidence that they used to live there, right?
I've actually been to this site, and Nick is understating how vast and empty this area is, and how dark that this place gets.
Yeah,
Okay, um, there's no lights.
there's no
There's
lights.
you're
There's
not
no
allowed to build
reception.
house. You're not allowed to build houses anywhere on this land because it's basically Indian reserve. And
Yeah.
I'm almost positive that there's lots of different burial grounds and probably multiple of different Indian tribes
There's
that
only a few ranches and a few houses in there, and I don't think anybody else is allowed to build there. Never really seen up into some of their ranches because they're private property.
and probably no one lives there anymore
Yeah, I
because they're
see them. I
haunted.
see them out there. There's
People,
like some RVs and some places.
people just screaming up in the
Yeah.
you hear screaming.
So, this place, like I said, it's the first start of an ultra marathon, a 50-mile race, and I told myself this is the perfect training ground. I know that if I can push my body and really like overcome this elevation gains and run through the whole way up, I'm really prepared for, a lot of the local races around here. So, that became my initial training ground, where you can find me running quite often. Why do I
During
run
the
it
day
at
usually, right?
Yes. Why have I been running it at about 3 in the morning
Yes.
recently?
First, yeah, tell us why you decided to
Well,
change your training routine to early in the morning at 3 o'clock.
so I hired a running coach, and she's been helping me get everything dialed in for this upcoming race. I have like 4.5 hour long runs, and we've trained that for the weekend, right? But as you all know, I'm also in grad school, so I have class on Saturdays, which starts at 8:30 in the morning. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to get school done and I'm going to get sports done throughout the rest of the day, because I don't want to ruin the weekends being with my kids.
Right.
Not much like I'm doing today, recording on a weekend. But I like to have my time with my kids. I try to have the least amount of impact on my family's life, right? I don't want to be an absent father because all I'm doing is going out, hitting these runs all day, every day. So I need to find a way to do it. There's no way I'm going to do it from 8 to 1 because I have class. I would miss the games. I'd be out for, the whole day running again at night. So
Right.
to me, it just makes sense because if I can start it at 3 in the morning, I know I can get done by 7:30, get home in time to shower, change, and go to school, and then finish the rest of my day. So in my mind, it is the best way to make use of my time. because
Right.
everything else during the week, busy. That's just the time to do it. So,
So again, and there's no other trails so that you could run on. This trail is completely dark,
this trail's
right?
completely dark.
Right. Are
Yeah,
there other runners out there?
absolutely not.
Absolutely nobody would dare to do this.
Let me
Okay.
go ahead and explain to you. This trail, the only other times it's used during the nighttime, in dark hours, are for
Are
the
for sacrificing
are for the
sheep.
local ghost hunters who do tours out there because of the crazy things that are
And
seen in
even
here,
they are not out there at 3 o'clock in the morning.
and they don't
They
really
go
go
at
that
like
far in.
11 the night before. Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going more than a mile in. Whereas
And
my loop
I think
is,
we also forgot to mention this place has mountain lions. We are
yeah,
known for probably
yeah,
a
mountain
good
lions,
coyotes,
yeah,
maybe a
everything.
bear every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay. Sorry.
probably, yeah,
Continue.
something out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nobody's out there. Nobody's out
Right.
there. They're not really doing anything. I'm the only one, just to say the
Right.
least. But it's dark. There's no reception. You're just truly out there on your own.
So if something were to happen out there,
I
nobody
would
would
not.
be able to get
Well, here's the
contact you.
funny thing is, I came back home after the first time I did this run because it was very scary. By the way, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Uh,
Oh, we'll get to that.
Ostrich
We'll
running,
talk about
run
the first
scared.
time you did this. Right.
But I was thinking like,
This
oh
guy
man,
takes run
something.
scared seriously.
Yeah. Uh, if something had happened to me on that run, I was like, oh man, would my wife even know where to find me? And so I come back
Did you
home
tell
after that
anybody
run.
where
Well,
you were running?
in my mind, I thought everybody knew where I ran, but apparently
No,
when I
because
came
this
home
guy
to check,
runs everywhere. In case you haven't followed him on Instagram, you could follow his trail of where he runs. He's literally running somewhere new every single day. There's
yeah,
a
I
line
try to
going.
get
He's
out there.
basically ran all over Orange County.
Yeah, yeah. There's a pretty, the funny thing is you think like 20 miles, like when you have a long 4.5 hour run, right?
Yeah.
You're really limiting yourself to how many trails and stuff are around without like having to just loop a bunch because 20 miles is kind of far, and your
Yeah.
immediate
Four
circle is
hours
just
is a
really,
long time of running.
yeah. So yeah, there's just not a lot that you can really do. But when I got back home, I told my wife, I was like, if something happened, I'm just curious. Do you know where you would like say I didn't show back up right now? Would you have known where to look for me? And she's like, no, I do not know where you run. I'm like,
And
what
she's
would you
not a
do? How
runner.
would you? She's not a runner. How would you
No.
find me? And she was like, I don't know. I would probably call Jarrett and see if he knew. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm screwed. The moment she said that, I'm like, I don't know. The only way you guys were going to be able to find me is if you looked at my post on Instagram and like seen my run pass, you would have to figure out, okay, well, which trail was he on? Is he on the road one? Is he on over here?
Well, we did a photography
Yeah,
thing there. So I think, but see, after 4 hours of running, I wouldn't know which trail you took. I
yeah,
would just, we would have to get out some basset hounds and give it your scent
yeah,
and basically go up. And you're running at 3 o'clock in the morning. So when would somebody check on you?
yeah.
Like when would she wake up and be like,
So knowing that I'm not back in time for my duties for the rest of the day, she'd be like, "Oh, this is not like him to be late and run through." Like usually, I'm set, I'm standard on my times. Like everything has to hit a mark, right? And if not, then I'm screwed, right? And my whole day is out of whack. And these things, being on time and in a place is very important to me. So I think she would notice at that point, right? But then that would be at least 7:30 in the morning, right? And then we're talking like another couple hours. But the good thing is it's a very popular trail with mountain bikers. So if I was right off the trail, somebody would see me. I think I see the first runners or the first runners and mountain bikers coming up after about 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm already like coming down the mountain. So everybody's like giving me this look like, what is wrong with this guy? And like, how long have you been out here if you're already coming back down?
so, okay, so they're looking at you crazy. But let's
Yep.
talk about what it was like doing this for the first time.
For the first time, okay.
Yeah.
So the first
The whole
time,
experience.
the first time I woke up, it was 2:30 in the morning. I had all my stuff ready the night before, but for some, oh no, you know what? I woke up a little late because I was actually tired, so I was rushing out. But good thing I had my stuff to pack the night before. But I rushed out and I left my phone at home. So by the time I noticed, I was basically like, well, I don't have time to turn back and get my phone and then come out here and finish this because obviously strict schedule.
Right.
I can just do this, whatever. So I go out there and look around. And I'm like, oh, it's dark. All right, here we go. And I am a fan of this podcast called The Exorcist Files, which goes into a lot of demonic like Exorcist Files. I love scary things. I love
Right.
Halloween is my favorite. That's my Christmas, right?
Hmm.
All of these like UFO documentaries. So
You
my
believe in
mind is
ghosts.
my mind. Yeah, I would say I believe in ghosts, or at least something else out there that's weird. That weird things can happen. So my mind is primed and ready to go for a scared run,
Hmm.
to say the least. So I'm out there. I'm like, all right. Well, I guess I don't need music anyway. I need to hear what's around me anyway, and turn on my light. Uh, Needless to say, I have a very cheap headlamp, so it's not powerful at all. And the next story will be the reason why we
Right.
just recently upgraded. But I go out on the run, and the moment I turn the first corner, I hear this loud woo woo, and I'm like, oh my gosh! It sounded like an owl was like right in my face, and it just like
By the
flaps
way, I
away.
think I've lived here my whole life, and I think I've seen two owls, three owls. And you said the owl that you saw was or heard was it
Yeah,
sounded
it was
gigantic,
huge.
right?
It was
Right,
huge,
right.
and it was so close, like right next to my head, in the middle of the dark. And I'm like, oh my god! So then I just start like booking it. I'm like, all right, here we go. We're doing
Right.
this, and I know this path. I ran it so many times during the day. Yeah, so that set the tone where it was like on edge already, and I'm getting up
How
there,
long
and
have you
about
been running
at
at
this
this time?
point,
How Yeah.
like when I heard the owl.
Right. Right away. Just right
Man,
right at
45 seconds in.
and all right. So that's when you
Yeah,
knew you had probably
it's
the
on.
owl's trying to
Yeah,
tell
it's
you like, "Hey, wait a minute. You've gone too
yeah, it
far.
probably
You might
was
want to
like,
turn around." He's trying to
who
stop you.
who
He's
is
trying to
this
stop you.
crazy man? And I told him, no, I only talk to
What is this?
ostriches.
Right.
And I kept running. I was like, wrong bird. If
Right.
you were an
Didn't
ostrich, then
care.
I would probably listen and then turn it back
Right.
around. But
Well, he knew you were an ostrich running scared,
yeah,
so he's like,
yeah, exactly.
he's trying to talk to you.
Uh,
Anyway,
so I
it's like
keep
there's
going
mountain
up.
lions up here, you idiot.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And the crazy thing is, my coach, after this whole experience, sent me a video, which I sent to you, of what mountain lions sound like. They don't sound like mountain lions; they sound like birds. So
I did not know
that,
this.
yeah,
I thought
it
you would
was
hear
like,
a large, like what you picture, like a cougar or something.
yeah, like
Like,
I would hear a growl or
yeah, yeah.
something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a mountain lion. No, this thing sounded like a bird cooing you into its area, like
Wait, so
I don't even know.
you heard
I
one?
didn't. Well, after I
You heard
saw
a
that
lot of
video,
birds.
I heard a lot of noises out there, and after I saw that video, I was like, "Oh my god, did I hear this? Did I hear this out there? I can't even think about that." But anyway, I get 5 miles. Around my 5 mile portion is right where I go through that historical site where the Indian
Right.
village was. Right. So I kind of like already prepping myself because I know that path, and I'm like, all right, this is kind of creepy. All right, here we go. I'm in it, and I'm running, and I'm stepping, and the rocks and the twigs are breaking underneath me, and then I hear snap, snap behind me, and then I
Behind
start
you.
like looking around, and I'm like, okay, is this what is? I'm just hearing things, and I just keep running, and then I hear it again, snap, 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 time to pick up the pace. And then at this point, I'm like booking it probably PR time, just get out of this little valley. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to. I'm also like, man, I'm gonna say a little prayer right now.
Right.
I'm not
Right.
crazy religious. I'm not
I've
anything, but
never
I'm
heard
gonna do
him say a
whatever.
prayer before in my life. I've never heard him say one.
So I right there,
And
Lord
let me
prayer.
tell you guys this. It takes a lot to scare this guy.
Yeah.
We used to challenge him. we used to want to challenge him to go spend the night in like ghost hotels, and he's like, I would
Yeah,
do that all day. Nick, how
I
much would
love
we
that.
have to pay you? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So
I'm
to
all
make
for
this
it.
guy
Yeah.
afraid, it takes something else. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. But okay.
And I was afraid. So I booked
Yeah.
it. I took off because I
You're
was
like, either that's a
afraid.
ghost or or
A
something else.
mountain lion. Yeah, yeah.
Tracking
It was
lion.
either way, I did not want to find out, right?
Right.
And when I turn to look behind me, I get this little window of light, right? And I can only see that. And that's enough for me. So trying to just book it, right? I get
Right.
up to the climb, I get out of that scary area, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. And I'm looking up. And it's like, man, the stars are beautiful. And then at that moment is just a crazy bright shooting star that just climbs out and like goes through the sky. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then I
Wow.
stop and then I think, oh man, if I get abducted at this point in time, I don't even have my phone on me.
Right.
What if I got hit with ghosts, demons, mountain lions, aliens, all this stuff,
Crazy owl.
just crazy stuff. And
Mhm.
then I kind of started thinking that I better not get abducted on this run. Let me just
Is the
keep
sun
going. So I
starting to
booked
come
it.
out?
No, at this point, I'm
Still no
probably
sun.
yeah, there's still no sun. I can kind of see it creeping out from the east side, right, and coming up, but it's not there. I already knew that the sun wasn't going to come up until I was like halfway through, because
Okay.
that's just about the time it was going to be. So I get up about, I think I did about a total of 10 and a half miles all the way up. And then I start making my trek back, and then the light comes out, and you feel a lot better. You start seeing everybody coming up, and they're
Every
all looking
every
at you like, yeah. So that was the first experience. Very, very terrifying. Probably most people would say I'm never doing that again.
Right. And this is where I think that you might be in a cult. Because after that experience, somebody normal would go find a different trail to run on, something with lights, or they would change their little light that they couldn't see very well. But no, not my
Yeah.
friend Nick. Not my friend
No.
Nick. My friend Nick says, and you guys would have had to have been there when he came off the mountain and told us of this story. It sounded like he was shaking. It sounded like, he had just been through
It
something
was
crazy in his
wild.
life. Yeah, it
My
was,
body
yeah,
went to a fight or flight response. I was in the zone. I was
right.
like, as
Running
soon as I
scared.
was hearing these first things, I was like in tune. I could hear everything. I could smell everything. It was just your body goes into this like crazy survival, right?
Right.
And it was wild. It felt insane. But yeah, so I
And
think
he's also been in the military, right?
yeah, yeah,
You're a vet. Yeah, they shouldn't,
yeah.
yeah, they know that.
Humans humans maybe don't scare me as much as unknown and maybe
Wow.
animals or the macabre and the spirits, so to speak, right? But I came back, and most people would probably say, yeah, I'm not doing that again.
Right.
I just basically scheduled another one. And did I do it twice before this last experience? I think I did it a few
I think
times.
you
I think it was
probably did,
twice.
and you didn't tell anybody, and this is why I think you're a cult leader, because
I'm a
you didn't
leader
tell
now.
us. Yeah, I mean, you're
Yeah.
definitely a leader. You're the leader of these ostriches running around doing crazy
Yes.
things.
Yes.
But yeah, you probably did it a couple more times.
Hmm.
We probably still didn't know where to find you, and then you did it again. The story
Yeah,
that
and
I
here
know
we
about,
go again.
and here
Yes.
we go.
It was a long training week. My
Yeah,
body was tired. My mind was exhausted.
I
I
remember that.
was in the final week of my class. So on this particular run in this canyon, on this Saturday, it was actually a shorter run. It was a 2.5 hour run, right? And with that, I went into this mindset of like, oh, easy, we're good, 2.5 hours. I got to sleep in a little bit. I got to start the run a little bit later. Instead of 3 in the morning, I got to start at like 3:45, 4 in the morning, right? And I was like, I'm gonna be done early. I'm not gonna have to rush. So I go out there, have my music on. I'm chilling. I'm running, and so my mind was probably just a little lackadaisical, and that's what you can't do on these on these trails, right?
especially
And
on
this
this.
is where people get hurt on these big long runs, overnight runs, these 100 mile, 200 miles. Your mind is so gone that you stop thinking of the technical stuff, right? What you need to do, what you need to lift. You have to be on at all times, and if not, then something like this happens. So I'm running, and I get to the famous Indian historical site, and again,
Same
my
spot.
body is like, all right, I'm a little freaked out here. Let me go ahead and say another little prayer. And I'm in the middle of this prayer running downhill. And in a second, I just feel my foot clip and I'm flying through the air. And
You're coming down a mountain.
yeah, I'm coming down like a hill, the mountain, and
Hmm.
it was just that one clip and I'm flying, right? And all I can do is kind of slowly turn and I put my arm underneath my chest or right at my chest and I land on a rock hitting my arm pushes into my chest and my ribs and lungs and knocks my air out and as I land knocking my air out my head hits and I initially thought I broke my arm and everything around me was just weird and confused and I was
Do you
kind of
think you
just
passed out for a second?
I don't think I did, but I knew I hit my head hard and I woke up or not woke up. Oh man, I better not say I woke up because then
Right, right,
I
right.
kind of came
Exactly.
to and I was just so disoriented and I'm just like, did I break my arm? No, I'm okay. And I look down, I'm bleeding from my hand, bleeding from my arm. My head hurts, my air's out, and I'm just in shock. And I immediately start feeling cold. Like my whole body's just cold. It is cold already in the morning. It's probably about 39 degrees.
But
And
when you
I
hit
was
your
just,
head super hard,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like, everything started to hit me. So I'm like, okay, you're all right. And I run for about like maybe 10 strides and I'm running. And then my head and everything, I just feel confused. I feel weird. I feel off. And at that moment, I'm like, I probably should not continue this run. I think I need to
How
get
much
back.
further do you have to go to get back to your car?
Okay, so I was about a mile and a half from finishing my actual full run,
So
right?
3 hours in.
This was no. This was probably an hour in, and I was maybe 15 minutes away from getting to my last part, maybe
Okay.
30 minutes. But coming back down, I have about 4.5 miles from this point. So I knew I was jacked up. I knew I probably needed to turn back around.
Right.
And I knew I had 4.5 miles to go to get to it. So I turn around, my body's just shaking and cold, and I'm just can't believe what
Can you
happened.
imagine having to walk back or jog back 4 miles after just hitting your head on a rock?
Yeah, and the thing is like I had to jog because there was no walking back. I would not have made it back to class in time and like I mentioned this was my final exam, my final presentation, all of these things that my final
You're
grade,
dripping
you know.
blood. There's
Yeah,
cougars.
dripping
I mean,
blood.
there's mountain lions. There's
Yeah.
animals out there.
So yeah, so I'm going down and I feel weird. I'm starting to kind of like dry heave and then next thing I know I'm like, I have diarrhea. I was like, I need to pull off the trail, and I can't even go off the trail. I feel
Your
so
body's
jacked up right now
exploding.
in the
Yeah.
bodies. So I'm like right close to the trail. I'm like, this is so bad. I'm supposed to be off the trail, bury it, but I can't even comprehend what's going on right now, right on the side of the trail. I get done and I'm going down the trail. I'm like, I'm so sorry for whoever has to run past this,
Oh
but I'm
my
going
God.
down and I see two headlamps coming up in the
Wait, did
dark,
you have
right?
your, did you get to use your sprayer, your butt sprayer?
Oh, of course I did. I got to
Oh,
use
okay.
Ostrich
Still
Running's
got to use,
Trail Flow Travel Bidet.
of course.
So easy, you can even use it with a concussion.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
great. I mean, you
All
got to
right.
still think of it, right? Okay, look,
Yeah.
I'm not going to run with just a whole bunch of poop. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going
Great
down
for
this
kids
canyon.
too.
Yeah,
Great
it's
for
great for,
kids if you do.
yeah, yeah, whatever you want to do. Vacations, whatever you need to do, go check it out. Ostrich Running Trail Flow. It is the anyway, so I'm running down and I see these two headlamps coming up, and I'm kind of out of it, delirious. I'm like, oh, there's people running up right now.
Is it
And as I
God?
get closer,
Is it
I
a demon? I mean,
well,
is it a ghost?
Here's the crazy thing is like as I get closer to these two headlamps, right underneath them are glowing red eyes. And I
Oh no.
stop and I'm like, wait, what is this? What is going on right now? And I slowly get closer and these glowing red eyes, it's these
As
dogs
you can
that
see, he kept
these
running towards it.
yeah. Well, I'm
Only
not gonna
Nick would
stop.
keep running towards the bright red eyes, knowing there's
Yeah.
animals out there, knowing he's
Yeah.
bleeding, knowing
Yeah,
he
well,
has
they
a
had
concussion.
headlamps on, so I figured something else was afoot. And of course, it was two dogs that were leading these two mountain bikers. But they looked at
Mhm.
me, the dogs were like, what the hell is going on? I
Right.
probably gave them the same confused dog face look. And I run
I could
past the
just picture
dog.
you coming out of this mountain like all
Yeah,
disheveled,
I was all
all
delirious,
messed
right?
up. Right.
And I see the two mountain bikers. They all they're saying is like it's jumbled up to me, but I know what they're saying. And then one guy, he's like, "You're a beast, man. You're a beast. Good job." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, thank you, thank you." But then in my head, I was thinking about how funny it probably was if I was like, help me,
Yeah.
please, help me. I
Just
need help."
bleeding
And they're
from
like,
your
"You're a
arm.
beast, bro. Go ahead. All right." And they're gone. I'm like, "No way. I need help."
Probably exactly what happened. Mhm.
Yeah, maybe. And but I continue on down the mountain, and I get about 2 miles out from the car, and things are starting to kind of piece together. I'm also freaking out because everything I was studying for my presentation out the window, gone. I was like, what was I supposed to even talk about? I couldn't even during this run. I'm like, I can't even think of the topic I'm supposed to talk about. So that's how I knew something was messed up. I knew
Really.
I had really
That's
jarred
when you
my
knew.
head. Yeah,
You
that's when I
you
knew
weren't
not.
gonna be ready for class.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh man, I cannot think about what I'm going to say for this project. I need to figure something out. And in that moment, I realize, oh yeah, when you hit, everything ejected. I hit with so much force, everything came out of my pack. Water bottles, all this stuff came out. So in that immediate moment, I'm scooping everything up, putting it back in my pack. I'm like, I think I got everything. Okay, I'm good. And this is a pretty good pack that things don't ever fall out of. So I must have hit pretty hard, right?
Hmm.
But I'm 2 miles out, and I realize, oh my gosh, where are my keys? And my
Oh
heart
my
stopped.
gosh.
I was
Yeah.
like, no freaking way. So I'm looking through my pack, trying to feel around, and fortunately, I feel them right in the zipper pack, and I'm like, there are my keys because I would have been so screwed. I did not have the energy, the wherewithal to run the 2.5 miles back up a pretty steep climb, look for
No,
my
there's no
keys,
way.
to get back to the car and in time for class. It would have been a nightmare.
And
So
you
I
don't
was,
have reception out there,
yeah,
so
nothing.
you
Yeah, the
can't even
only,
call and say, "Someone come get me."
yeah, unless I would have gotten somebody else on the trail, then my wife could
Right.
have brought my extra keys, but then she would have had to get the kids up, got them all ready,
God.
give her directions to
Mhm.
where to come. It would have been a nightmare. I would have missed everything.
Right.
I would have screwed it all up. So I was so grateful that my keys were in my pack, and then I just went out and I finished the run, get in my car, and
And
start driving.
what does any normal person do? Maybe go to a hospital, maybe go home first, ice up. What does Nick do? Tell us, Nick.
Well, I get in the car and I drive home, but I'm
Right.
driving and I'm so confused driving. I'm like, this is so bad. I should not be driving right now. I should not be driving. I should not be driving. My body's shaking. Oh my gosh, sip of coffee. Let me keep going. I'm going to make it home. And I get home. Nobody's up in the house yet. I jump in the shower because I'm just shaking cold. And I get I'm back earlier because I had to cut the run short. So I'm back earlier
Right.
than what I needed to. My wife's half asleep, and I tell her, I'm like, hey, I just had a pretty bad fall out on the trail. I feel really messed up. And it didn't comprehend with her. She's still half asleep. She's like, okay, get in bed. And then I just get in bed and I go and I fall asleep. The worst thing you could do, I go to
You
straight
have
to
to
sleep.
remember, Nick plays soccer. He does so many things. So he
Yeah,
falls often. So
often. Yeah.
she probably thought it was just a
It's
normal,
just something like that.
you
Yeah,
know.
I'm,
Yeah, like you twisted
yeah,
your ankle, whatever.
yeah, I
Nick will rub
fell
this
like,
off in 2 seconds. Yeah.
yeah. And me in my mind, I'm like, I'm so exhausted right now. I just need to close my eyes for a few minutes. I set my alarm for 10 minutes because I have to still get up for class. And I fall asleep and then I wake up to my alarm and, okay, I got to go. I get all my stuff on. I get dressed for my presentation. I get in there and I get to class and I tell my instructor what had happened. Can you please not grade me as hard on this because my mind is not there. So 2.5 hours I sat through other presentations, my presentation, 59 out of 60, by the way, crushed it. I just got
Wow.
that grade back. So you're welcome. Yeah, I was able to survive that. Was able to get back and make the last 2 innings of my son's baseball game. It was a good one. I was jacked up. Got back, finally got to just rest and just kind of recoup and, figure it out. And I rested, and the next day I thought, well, my head kind of hurts. I feel weird, but
I
maybe I
talked to
can
you
go play
that day.
soccer.
I
Yeah, I was
talked to
like,
you
maybe,
that day, and
yeah.
he's passing out, um, barely able to talk on the phone,
Oh,
and we
yeah.
still came and crashed your house, and he still got up and still tried to be in a meeting. So this
You
guy,
can't keep
I
me
don't know,
down.
he's
I gotta
something out.
be,
Yeah,
yeah,
he tried to
yeah.
get up off the couch, and his leg wasn't even working.
Oh, yeah.
Like
It
it was
started to get
barely.
all, yeah. I felt
Yeah,
like
it just
I
was
was
swelled up
worried that
while
I
he was.
had hurt my knee. And so that was the thing that drove me to the next day, right? Soccer. I was like, my head
Who
still
wakes up and
hurts,
goes?
but
Yeah,
I need to figure out if I screwed my knee up. So my wife wasn't happy that I
who
went
cares
to go
about
play
your head?
soccer right after that.
So
Yeah.
this all leads me to the question: is Nick a cult leader?
Okay.
Is
Well, let
he
me tell
trying to
you.
run a cult?
Let's define cult, right?
Yeah.
And the definition of a cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion, something that's directed toward a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people having
Ostrich,
religious
check.
beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister.
Check.
Okay. A misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing.
Ostrich and himself. I guess himself.
And running,
Check.
check. Okay. So, a cult is
And I'm
generally
worried.
defined as. Go ahead.
My job right now is to. I don't want to never stop you from running, but I might need to try and stop this ostrich cult now because I can see it's growing. It's becoming bigger than life. There's other people starting to attract to what you're doing in your movement. He's starting running groups. And I'm
No, no,
starting to
no,
get
no.
worried. As a non runner,
I'm
I'm
not
starting to
starting a
get worried.
cult. The question is, am I in a cult? Okay.
Are you in a
If I
cult? I
decide to
think you're a
start a
cult
cult,
leader. Right.
okay.
I think you're going to
Well,
have other people out
this
there at
next,
3 o'clock in the morning. I think you guys are going to be lighting candles soon
doing
around this
seances on
Indian
this
reserve.
run
Yeah,
scared.
doing seance in the middle of this run. I see this growing into something bigger. You're trying to get me out there.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I am going to get you out there. You are going to drink the Kool-Aid. You're going to like this next definition too, right? A
Okay.
cult is
All right.
generally defined as a group with an unquestioning devotion to a leader or ideology, often involving isolation, manipulation, and control over members' lives. Running, to me,
Yeah. Does it
is an
control your life?
ideology that I have found myself devoted to. Okay, I'm not trying to give you fuel for your fire here that I'm in a cult, but I'm just
So is running
I'm
is
starting to
running a
maybe
cult?
yeah is being a runner like being in a cult. We're devoted to this ideology of running and what it
This is
brings us,
deep,
right?
actually. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, are we
Is
devoted
running a
to this
living
ideology?
is
A
running
living
a
cult with
living
no
spirit.
leader. Yes. Is running a
Wow.
cult with no leader, right? And it often involves isolation and manipulation, right? Well, my long
It's
runs, in order
manipulating
for
your
me to
life,
be
your
away
brain.
from everybody, I have to do these at odd hours, right? A lot of other people who do this, who maybe do it during a normal time, not like me. Your friends probably don't see you. They're probably asking you, "Where are you going this weekend?" Going
Why are
for a
you
long
doing this?
run, and then I'm going to be out of, I'm going to be so tired I can't do
Why are
anything
you
else.
always
So
injured? Yeah.
yeah, the manipulation of you as a person, right? I have to go get this long run in. I have to go get this run in. I have to get this run in. I bet you people who are not runners in your family see less of you since the time you started running. And you explain to them that this is better for me. This is better for the world. I enjoy
Sounds
this.
exactly like
This
a
sounds
cult.
exactly like a cult. I didn't mean to come into this conversation saying I'm in a cult, but the more we talk about it, the more it sounds like we're in a cult. And you know what? Is it bad? Is it bad to be in a cult?
That's a great question. Most cults that we see on TV don't end well. Um,
Is this the only
so
cult that ends well? Well, guess what? It
that's
actually
a
never
good
ends.
question. Yeah, it never
You're,
ends.
it's just never ending.
Is
Okay.
this a drug, Nick? Is this
Is this a drug? This is a very good question. Knowing my background, where I've come in my life with my
and
addictions,
what's
my
the difference
struggles,
between a cult and a drug? Just both of those questions.
cult and a drug. So, I mean, the drug itself isolates you from all people because you can easily, you can easily just isolate yourself and just do your drugs all day and all night, and that's the only thing you care about, right? There may be one or two interactions that you have of people, right? The manipulation is definitely there with a drug, but
It's kind of there
you
with
know,
running.
I can tell you from my time when I was using and abusing a lot of substances, my days would often be revolved around doing whatever it took to make sure that I could have that drug. And then it got to a point where I was only using my drug of choice to really just maintain and stay alive, right?
Right.
At this point, to the comparison with running, when I don't have the run in, my life starts to fall apart, much like the withdrawals of a
Mm,
drug. I'm not here to talk negatively about running, but I will
right.
say that,
Right.
I enjoy it. There are definite similarities. I do feel a high when I hit that right moment, that high. You get that one hit of a certain run, that runner's high, that finishing, that, even on a training run, you'll feel like alive.
Right.
Coming back from almost
Especially the way
getting
you do it.
hunted by a ghost or a mountain lion, you're like, oh, I feel great. This was crazy. I survived it. Let me try it again. You know, there's
Right.
definitely qualities within a cult and a drug that I can see as being identifiable as a runner and running and training for something. How do you see it?
I mean, I'm still learning about all this, but I definitely see that you guys are there's something bigger than yourself driving you to reach these longer and longer distances. It really does feel like a cult to me. And that's why
Yeah.
after this latest seance that you had out there in the middle of nowhere, I had to confront you on a weekend and get you to address this because I do
Yeah.
feel like you guys are in a cult. And I feel like, I don't know, I also feel like it's like a brotherhood of
It
somehow.
is. It is.
Some-
So it's like a
it's,
cult, a brotherhood. Yeah, because when you see another fellow runner, you tip my
right.
hat to you, sir,
But then there's
ma'am.
runners, and then there's you ultra guys. Like you ultras are different, a
All in
different.
itself, aside from the
Yeah.
marathoners, you would say.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
You look at the start lines of a marathon and the start lines of an ultra marathon, two different vibes, right?
Right.
You get the hyped up marathon, like, yeah, we're gonna do this.
Plus, plus when I get you around other ultras, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's like you guys can talk to each other without talking. Like
Yeah,
instantly, if we're playing soccer and you just sense somebody else is an ultra runner, you
yeah,
next thing I know, you're over there talking to them. You're over
yeah,
there like, I don't know. You guys relate on so many things, and then you
yeah.
guys have so many things in common.
Well, I look at that as look much like my experience in the military, right? There's a
Hmm.
brotherhood of other veterans that you can meet and come across in your entire life. And I've met a few when I went back to school in this MBA program, right? We have a couple veterans in my cohort, and the moment we first met, we're instantly connected. We are close. We immediately have each other's back. We support everybody in what they do, what they talk about. We can relate, we can joke, we can laugh, no matter what. it's that bond is so instantaneous, and it's much like being an ultra marathon runner, because going through an ultra marathon is like going to battle. You're going to battle with the course, you're going to battle with the elements, you're going to battle with yourself, your body, your mind. All of this is a battle. And when you finish that battle, you see the other people who went through that same battle, elites, non-elites, mediocre, terrible, fast, slow. All these runners
Big,
did the
small.
same distance, and they all went through some sort of battle in that entire race. And I think that is what joins us in that brotherhood,
Cult.
sisterhood of being being an ultra marathon runner, even a marathon runner. Even these marathon runners, there is a struggle in there, and we're going to get you to run that marathon, Jarrett. If we don't get you to run an ultra, you're going to run a full marathon.
That is
Something's going to
not
happen.
gonna.
I'm going to slip the Kool-Aid in your juice every single chance I
I
get.
would have to say I would have to save like 1,000 kids in Africa for me
Okay, so here's what we're going to do,
to run a
guys.
half marathon, not even a full marathon. We're just talking about another half marathon. Because I felt what you guys felt. I felt the cult. I felt the demon. I felt it, and I'm running away from it. I felt it once, and I'm like,
Because you're
okay.
level-headed. You're not a cult
I don't
member.
know if I'm level-headed. I felt what he
Well,
felt like.
well,
I
look at
felt
you. Look.
the sunshine, and I'm like,
Okay, so
okay, I
let's
did
not
this.
take it from the marathon distance. What about all these other half marathon runners that you meet? Do you guys share the same? Like, can you bond with them instantaneously and tell them,
It's
oh,
not
you ran
like
that
what you
half?
guys have. It's not whatever is going on between you guys. Like
You're right. I mean,
you guys
look,
are
I'm not going to discredit though. Those distances are all. I think it's still a battle. I think you're going to
no,
still
it
find
is
your
a battle.
5K people. You're going to find your half marathon people. It's just the more of a distance you go to, the more you have to relate to, because you're pushing your body beyond a certain thing, right? I
Right.
was always curious as to how can somebody run a complete other marathon after running a marathon. That boggled my freaking mind, man.
And
Like,
now you're at
there's
100.
no way. Like, I'd ran my first marathon, and I started thinking about ultra marathons, but I felt how I felt after that marathon, and there's no way. But I'm looking at videos of people finishing this stuff all the time, and then I get there and I train for it, and I finally complete it. Like, gosh, man, you can do this. And I felt better than, some of my other times. So now that distance just keeps going and pushing up. What can we push our mind to? What can we push our body to? I think it's just incredible. You yourself, how you eat, in your daily life, how you have certain routines, right? You think like, hey, our bodies can handle a lot. We're not meant to have all this food all day. We're not meant to have all this water before we. I'm not saying don't drink water before an
No,
ultra
you're
marathon,
right.
but
Yeah, yeah.
but you're like really intrigued as to what the body should and was intended to do, right?
Right.
Well, would you say that our bodies are not intended to do this?
We've had a lot of debates over this. I personally don't think your body was ever made to run 100 miles. But, I mean, the human body's, you wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't built within the capabilities of your body, I guess. So it's like you have this mold, your body's this mold, and you can kind of take it however you want. Some people can run really fast up to 10 seconds. They can run like Usain Bolt. Or like there's other people back in the day that used to run hundreds of miles a day. I
I
think
was gonna say, like, okay, let's think
no,
about
I
it like
think
like this, like 800 years ago, right?
yeah.
Tribes and everything around. Um, you don't think they moved 100 miles in a day?
At one time, I don't see a
Like, if they
natural
were a
reason.
scouting party to go hunt or
Yeah,
to go find, their
like chasing
manhood,
gazelles or
yeah,
something.
something, or trying to find some sort of new material out there that would help better their lives, or if, let's just say it was even,
I'm sure there
like
were tribes that
United
covered 100
Kingdom.
miles in a
What
day.
about
Right.
what about yeah, like sending a message of an empire, right? Let's go. The only thing that comes to mind is the Roman Empire, right? What
They
if
definitely
there's
didn't run 100
there's a
miles.
message, right? Who needed to be sent to another area where they controlled, right? And they're like, we're about to go to war. You need to go send this message. This place is 200 miles away. Are
Everybody
they
run
sending somebody
5 miles
running?
and just hand it
You think
off
every
to one town to the next. No one would be crazy enough, except for Nick and his buddies, to just say, "Hey guys, we're not gonna work on pigeons or have some animal carry us because they did have horses, they did have other things." Nick is just gonna be like, "You know what? I got this. You guys
You're
go
so
mind
right.
your own business."
You're right. They're going on a horse.
Like,
No, I'm gonna go run
you have to
further.
go back a little bit further than that, but I think they figured out pretty
We have
quickly.
horses, sir. We have
We
horses.
have
It's okay.
animals that will do the work of this. It didn't
Use
take very long.
technology that we have been given.
Right, right.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess I could
There
ride
is
a
a
horse.
pigeon that could cover this distance. Um, or fire signals. They just use fire to just say, "Hey, this means A when I do the fire like this 4 times." But
Yeah,
there are tribes like you tell me all the time of
the
here,
Tarahumara, or yeah, I
yeah,
can't say it.
basically the
Yeah,
people you're running by at 3 o'clock in the morning. Um,
and
they
they're over
ran
there.
a
Is
hundred
that a
miles.
runner?
Right.
Yeah,
I definitely
yeah,
think it was in our capability to do that. I just think there were only a couple people in each tribe that probably were related to you somewhere down the line. And
yeah. You know
it's
what I
like,
want to see though, actually, because I like the point that you're bringing up, and it brings the thought of now we are capable of doing a lot of this stuff because I have $4 gels on each packet, and I take 15 of them. We've learned all this stuff, right? So I wonder if maybe we didn't have electrolytes, we didn't have all this stuff. Like, are we? Obviously, we're getting better, right? We're getting faster times. The distances are the distances, but we're increasing and breaking world records, right? We're breaking course
you have the
records
best shoes,
because we have the
shoes
best shoes.
designed to do this.
You know what I want to see is if we created a crazy race, right? Actually, it probably would not be good for insurance. Where you're like, okay, you're only
Sounds
allowed
cult
water.
like. Sounds
You're
cult
only
like.
allowed water,
Starting.
bread.
The cult the cult
Yeah,
is beginning. I'm just letting you guys know. I told you
it's
guys
starting.
this guy is a natural cult leader and he's
Jarrett is here to
starting
warn
it right
everybody.
now.
And there's a lot. We
Nobody's listening to me, but this guy is a natural born
cult
leader
leader.
of men. He is a leader of
Oh my
other men.
gosh.
I'm trying to warn everybody. But go
We
ahead, tell
have
us
this
about this
race.
this
we,
race
we have
where
this
it's just
race
you're just gonna
where we
get
say
bread.
no gels, no carbs that are pre-packaged, only what you can have in the immediate, like only water. We don't have electrolytes, and we do it in bare minimum shoes. We don't do a whole lot. The only time you can really go through is what you can carry on you in a certain small liter, and you only get what you get in another aid station. How
I'm sure
would
people
that
would love
affect?
that.
Yeah, right. I think people, and this goes into the points of some of these crazy races, right? I showed you a little bit of, right? Like running through the Sahara Desert. Okay,
Yeah, right.
let me run
All right.
250 plus miles through the Sahara Desert, or 150 miles through the Sahara Desert. Why? I just want to see how close I can get to death. You know.
Which makes no sense to me.
Well, maybe DMT was a nice psychedelic, that I used to dabble into. You get close to something out there. I'm not going to say it's God because it might be false, right? But, it might be the same thing. Something in your body happens that you get addicted to when you're so close to death. And these people running in, Death Valley in the
Playing on the
Sahara.
line of it, right?
Yeah, just let me creep that line. There's something crazy about we got to feel alive somewhere,
Guys,
right?
please leave a comment and tell me how this does it sound like a cult to you or does it not? These guys are spending their days seeing how close that they can get to the edge of death through running.
Yeah.
Um, and they
Ostrich
just keep
running,
pushing
proud
themselves.
cult member.
Go
I'll
back
take
and
any
listen to
donations.
go
Go
back and
join the
listen
cult
to
by buying a hat.
go back go back and listen into our interviews and there is something that each one of these guys have in common. They all are getting closer and closer or pushing themselves to see how close that they can get pretty much to death.
Yeah.
And
There's nothing scarier than having, like I said, I'm pretty open about my DNFs, right?
yeah, yeah.
There's
Which are
nothing
actually not
scarier.
DNFs, but
Yeah, than actually going and retrying a race that I failed. And then that's probably what brought me back out on that trail at 3 in the morning was, oh man, that was scary. Let me just do that again. There was a rush in it that I liked. There was a
Right,
rush.
right. I felt something.
I can't have run scared as my motto and not run scared anywhere, right?
That's true. That's
And even
true.
though I didn't mean for it to be run physically scared for your life, it was supposed to be a metaphor for for
Right.
running
Please
scared
explain that
away
again, because
from
you're gonna have
failure and
people
your
again.
past and all that. Yeah, but I took it a little too literally because the only thing that comes to mind is the part in The Grinch where he yells at his echo, "You're an idiot." You're an idiot, and just comes talking back to himself. So I hear that
Right.
you're an idiot sometimes, but it's okay. I'll let myself be an idiot. But you know what? I think it's a great conversation. Are we in a cult? Like Jarrett said, leave us a comment. What do you think? Are
Yeah,
you in a
yeah.
cult? Do you want to join the Ostrich Running Cult Member Society? You can please visit us at ostrichrunning.com.
This is, I would say, a healthy cult. I have to be
Yeah,
honest. They're
yeah,
great
let's join
people.
this. We're
Yeah.
good. Look at he's warning you. He still warned you, but he's gonna subliminally send a message like, "Yeah, they're great people. Don't go do it. Don't wink." Yeah, and then
If
he's
you
trying
want
to
to
hold
get
up the
out.
signal for him to be saved. He's like, "Please save me," whatever the signal is that you've been
Right.
captured. Yeah, but it's a great episode, man. I'm glad you called me
And
on
wait,
my.
real quick, are we gonna
Mhm.
start the 3 a.m. Nick run
I would love
through?
to.
You should.
Let's do it.
That'd
Let's
be
do it.
crazy. No, no, no,
Well,
not let.
here's
You're gonna do it. I'm
yeah.
going to
Let's do
bring
it.
some
Come join.
snacks.
I'm gonna have
Yeah.
the
Leave
juice come
comments
out
if
and
you would
film all
join.
this stuff. That's how I'm gonna
Um,
slowly get involved. I'm gonna ask him and say, "Hey, you think you could film this for me?"
I
Yeah, where
just
are we
need.
going? We're
Yeah,
just doing 50 miles.
I need 40 cameras, and I'm gonna put them
Mhm.
throughout the track. I'm gonna walk it, and then it's just gonna film itself.
All remotely. You're like, yeah, and then he's just gonna
That
fly
would
with
be
his
hilarious.
drone.
An owl just coming by your head on the camera, like, oh. We
Yeah,
see
and
a
you're like,
cougar, like after a mile, we see a cougar just cross
but
with
I'm
you.
cluelessly running through, just
Right.
like, yeah, whatever. And you just tell me like, hey, I reviewed that footage. You should not run that trail
You
ever
should,
again.
I won't tell
I
you
caught the
why.
demons, I caught the
Right.
ghost, I caught the mountain lions, I caught the owls. Don't run that
You almost
trail at
died
3 in the morning.
12 times.
Well, I bought a new headlamp. I bought a new waist lamp. I'm changed my running schedule, so I don't do that anymore. I learned my lesson. I'm sorry to my family. I'm sorry to my sister,
Friends.
my wife, my kids, to Jarrett, my coach who put me on a timeout until I went to go see the doctor. I got cleared. They gave me a week. I gave them 5 days, and I started running again, and I feel great. This is go. Let's go. This is great.
Go.
You know.
We can't stop.
Yes, but to our listeners out there who tune in every week, we appreciate you so much. All the love on social media, we appreciate you. Please check out our products. We're growing. This ostrich thing, this ostrich cult is taking off. Let's do it. Let's continue on. See us at ostrich.running on Instagram and our social media handles. You can catch these episodes on YouTube. You can also catch it on all streaming platforms. That is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consume your podcast. We appreciate you. Please also visit ostrichrunning.com. You can see our new gear, some new gear that's going to be coming soon. Keep an eye out. I'm not going to go ahead and give that one away just yet. We'll keep that under wraps. But, check out the Trail Flow. It's what I use when I have concussions and I need to go poop in the woods. Go check it
Still
out.
works. Works
Yep.
like a charm.
Love it. Thank you all for joining us on another episode of the Ostrich Running Podcast. Cue that outro music. I think I'm slurring my words because I have a concussion still.